are you? What do you want?
God sent me. Get out of here, man. I got to warn you. You're doomed to stay. Go.
Hello, friends and fiends. Welcome to Blood and Guts HHN. We're bringing you a special SlashOrama this time. With me, as always, Mad Matt. How's it going?
Doing fantastic, Evil Adam. How about yourself?
Not too bad, because we got a special episode tonight.
Yeah.
We usually don't do ranking videos unless we're talking about HHN houses, of course, or Scare Zone, something like that. But tonight we thought it would be fun to rank the look of Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, I'm real excited about this one. Jason's he's been a staple in my viewing habits for horror movies ever since I was probably younger than I should have been, 3 or 4 years old. So, like you said, the ranking videos, I love doing those. So this will be a fun episode to see kind of where we land on these. Yeah,
and as always, there's 12 Friday the 13th films. We are not going to be including the first film because, if spoiler alert, Pamela is the killer in the first film. And we also aren't going to be ranking the films themselves. This is a ranking of the look, the costume, the outfit, the mask, the mannerisms of Jason himself.
Right. So we didn't really feel like it'd be fair to rank that first sporadic appearance when he just pops up the lake at the end of the movie. Like I said, we want it to be the actual Jason character that's running around, killing all the counselors,
doing
and
all the stuff we love. Yeah,
exactly.
So let's go ahead and kick it off with 11 films here to rank. Let's start at the bottom. What do you say we start at the bottom?
Yeah.
We're going to go with
scraping the bottom.
We're
of the barrel.
scraping the bottom. These are our worst. Now, keep in mind, folks, these are just our opinions. You may love some of these that we have at the bottom. You may hate some of these we have at the top. Feel free to drop that in the comments if you'd like. But these are just our personal opinion why we don't like this look. So let's go ahead. I'll kick it to you. And what is your 11th? What is the worst Jason that you can come to us with? What do you got?
Mine is the masterpiece that Adam Marcus decided to bestow upon us. Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday.
Okay.
And even when this movie come out when I was a young lad of 8 years old, I thought was just the worst looking Jason I've ever laid my eyes on. And as a 38-year-old man now, that has not changed. And so this is one I have a very, I don't normally share my strong opinions on the channel.
Oh, here we go, folks. Here comes a strong, mad opinion.
Exactly.
Get ready.
But this, to me, I get, with the mask, how it's sunken in. They're trying to make it look like his flesh is growing out over it.
Yep.
But to me, it makes Kane Hodder look less menacing. He just looks bloated throughout the whole movie, when you actually do see Jason on there. And for the love of the Lord, why does he have his shirt tucked in? Why did... Explain this to me. Jason gets up, he's running through the woods, and his shirt comes. He's stalking, and he's thinking, I better make sure my shirt's tucked in with my little belt.
Have a good figure when you're killing, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So, for me, the bottom of the barrel is definitely Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday. And Adam, I know this must be your last one too, right?
Nope, it's sure not. Because I'll do you one better.
Yeah.
Because I got a few bones to pick with this one. I got a few pet peeves, and for me, my bottom is the look Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah.
And the reason I don't like Freddy versus Jason is because I do not like the fact that his whole outfit, when you see him in the screenshots, when you see him in the when he's presence there, it looks like a fabric that they make pajamas out of, like the pajama pants that you wear that are so comfortable. The shirt, coat, whatever you want to call it, looks like that. The shirt he's wearing underneath it looks like the pants. And then he's got these lift boots on. If you notice in the film when he's fighting Freddy, when he's doing whatever, you can see the Herman Munster lifts on the boots. So you got a good 3-4 inches of lift there. And I don't care for the mask, but what really gets me is the way they've taken the skin tone and they've turned it like this darkish gray, blackish hue, I really don't like that at all. because it doesn't go well with the pajama-looking costume.
Yeah, but he's not. At least he's not bloated.
I know he's not bloated, but it just the whole outfit looks like it's made of the same stuff they make sweatpants out of.
You make a great point though, because that brings me back to my choice for the bottom of the barrel though, because honestly, when you talk about the fabric of what he has, it looks like something like for the Jason Goes to Hell, it looks like something he bought at Spirit Halloween. No offense to Spirit Halloween.
Well, it's a black
like
shirt and then
cheap
black
material.
pants, Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead and kick it back to you. Then what is your number 10?
Mine is
Jason Voorhees character.
This is the one that's always polarized most of the fan base as far as the movie goes. Now, as far as the Jason look goes, I've honestly not done enough research to see other people's opinions.
Okay.
But for me, coming in at number 10 is Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning.
Okay.
And it really just boils down to that I just think the entire look itself is completely lazy. Now, I think they did a great job at the beginning of the movie of capturing, when Corey Feldman, Tommy Jarvis is watching them dig up Jason in his nightmare, catching that look from the original final chapter. Looked fantastic. Yeah. But then when you actually get to the, spoiler alert, the imposter Jason, Roy, it's just so plain. And there's really not much to critique because there's just not a lot there. It's just the plain blue jumpsuit, hockey mask with the blue slashes to kind of tip the hat that they know that this isn't Jason.
Right.
And but other than that, it's just kind of meh.
The outfit does that as well.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
see the outfit. You see the way he moves, even the way he moves. I mean, there's certain scenes where he kind of does move a little bit like Jason, but then there's others where you're like, this isn't Jason.
Right.
So.
Exactly. So that's not really a lot there to critique, to hate on, just because there's just not a lot there. So,
right.
Kicking it back to you then, what do you have for your for 10?
For number 10, I have the 2009 Friday the 13th remake. And the reason I don't like this look at all, and I don't really care for any of the looks. I know they try to do the bag head Jason, and I know they do several different versions of Jason. They try to cram it all in there together. But the reason I don't like this one is because when you get to the hockey mask Jason portion of the film, it just looks like they try too hard without trying at all. He looks like a guy who would be at your local haunt as a character playing Jason. And you go to your local haunt, wherever that may be, in your town, and there's always a Michael and a Freddy, and there's a Leatherface, and there's a Jason. This looks like that guy that they've hired, who's a big dude who works down at the tire plant, and he's we're gonna put him in as Jason. So that's,
I obviously don't think that one's the greatest, but that's what I love about this episode is because we're going to have some great banter. But I kind of disagree with you on this one. I'll get to it once I get to that part of my ranking.
Yeah. Okay.
But like I said, I love, though, the descriptiveness of how you feel and how strong you feel about it.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we're talking about this. I mean, your opinion, might be wrong, but
because you hadn't mentioned Jason Goes to Hell yet, so I know you're wrong.
That's right. Well, your opinion might be a little bit wrong, but we'll get to that. And maybe this.
Yep.
We'll see how this flushes out.
Number 9, then for me, you've already touched on is Freddy versus Jason, and for the same reasons you mentioned, I have it ranked a little higher though, just because on some of those I think he does have a little bit more character than definitely the Roy from Friday 5.
Yeah.
So he at least has a little bit more.
He definitely
character.
is more Jason than Roy.
But overall, I still don't like the look, like you're saying. Like I don't like the fact that he's walking around with a shirt that's unbuttoned. You can see a T-shirt underneath it.
It's like almost a hoodie underneath it.
Yeah,
is what it is. I mean, I zoomed in. I pulled it up on Google just a still image. I zoomed in. It's almost like a hoodie without the hood.
Yeah. And even the masks, the slashes are too big. It's like everything they try to go to make it bigger. And I know Ronnie Yu's intention was he wanted him to be taller than Freddy, to like be more physically brooding than Freddy. But
right, well then hire a brooding actor because the lift shoes just they don't do it. They look like special shoes.
Well, even then he didn't have to be. And I know part of it too, they want to make him sympathetic. But I mean, you still could have had Kane Hodder come in and do the job because Kane was still in great shape.
Exactly.
And it would have turned out a whole lot better to me. It would look better. I mean, a lot. I could definitely go on and say more, like because you mentioned the skin color and how it's dark black, and even when they do unmask him for the part of the movie where they have to give him mouth, or they're talking about giving him mouth to mouth.
Right.
Like the prosthetics on the face, it just doesn't look that good. Like it just looks like they threw it together really quick, which is probably why they only have it on screen for a total of maybe 20 seconds because they don't really want you focused on it.
Yeah, that's true.
So kicking it back to you then, what's your number 9?
Number 9 is A New Beginning. Because like you, same thing that you said. He's one point it's raining or they're wet or something. It's like a mechanic suit, so it is almost like a Michael Myers zip up onesie.
Yeah.
The mask doesn't look that good to me, and I remember when I watched these. There was one particular day I was pretty young as a child, like you said, younger than I should have been. And I just was watching. They had a marathon on HBO or one of those, and I was watching, and I love it. And I was like, "Wait a minute, what's going on with this one? That ain't Jason. I know Jason when I see him, and this ain't it." So yeah, that just doesn't do anything for me at all.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on it. Moving up then to number 8 for me is Jason X. And this is one where I understand like the tone of the movie. They actually they're not trying to be serious with it. They're trying to be silly with it. But I still think it misses the mark. Like the mask, I'm not real crazy about. And then when you get the Uber Jason, I just think it's a little bit too much. Like now, as far as the movie goes, I can sit back and turn my brain off and watch it.
Feel good.
Yeah,
feel good horror movie.
Yeah, most
Got
of these
some
are
good over the top kills.
right. But that's about it, though, because the characters are all one dimensional. But we're not really here to critique the movies. But like, as far as the rest of his suit goes, it's just a plain color. Once again, whenever he's unmasked there, when he's on the ship, Jason's face, it almost looks like he has a rubber mask on instead of actual like a prosthetics. And it just amazes me how when this one was made back in the early 2000s, we're about 16 years removed from like the final chapter, part 3, part 7, when all those unmasking of Jason look 10 times better. It just amazes me how we went backwards, which honestly is probably because that's whoever they had hired, they did it on the cheap.
Yeah, that was a quick budget film.
Right.
So.
And so, I mean, there's not much more to say about other than if you like it, I mean, if you can accept it with its tone and stuff, that's great. But it's definitely near the bottom for me.
Yeah. Okay. And kick it over back. Let's see. Number 8 for me is Jason Goes to Hell. Finally, Jason Goes to Hell. And I'm with you. I don't understand why he's wearing all black. I don't understand for the life of me why the shirt is tucked in. Mm-hmm. I do like the fact that the mask is fused into the skin, kind of like gives me this thing of like, sometimes you will put something on a tree, like some people put like a leather strap on a tree or some kind of object on a tree, and you can see that later on the tree is grown around that object.
Right.
And I kind of dig that because, now had you taken Kane Hodder and put him in an outfit that looks like one of the earlier Jason films.
Yeah.
And then had the mask kind of fused to the skin, because at this time he's been blown up, he's been shot, drowned, stabbed, psychically murdered. You name all the ways that Jason has died in these, burned with acid. You name that. So yeah, your mask would eventually deteriorate over all that.
Right.
Especially with those karate punches from Manhattan. But so I like that aspect of it.
Now, like, I can respect what they were going for with, like I said, but to me, the mask was a terrible mask.
Yeah.
Like, it was one of the worst masks. And it boils down to who are you believe, because Adam Marcus, he claims even to this day that Sean S. Cunningham said he hates
and there's
the
a whole
hockey
back
mask.
and forth with that going on.
And Sean, he denies it. But to me, I almost believe Adam Marcus on this one just for the fact that it's like they gave no, to me, in my opinion, they gave no effort with it. And they didn't even, this is one of the only movies I can think of where he's not unmasked at all. But they finally did release some concept art of what they were thinking of. If you can find that image and put it up for the audience, it would look pretty cool if they would have went with that. And but for some reason they didn't have that in there. But that's, like I said, that's where it missed the mark with me. But like I give them kudos along with the movie, even though the movie to me is one of my least favorite of the series, and that's a different story for a different day. I will give them credit for trying new things.
Yeah. And like I said, the only peep for me is that the outfit is more of like a black business shirt and business pants, and it's tucked in.
Yeah.
But yeah, just kick it on back over to you.
For me, I got for number 7, the one I thought you was just a little bit harsh with, which is the remake Jason. And for this one, I actually did dig what they were going for. I actually liked him as the baghead Jason. I really thought he looked really good with that one. And Derek Mears, I think, done a great job with what he was given. The movie, and as far as his mannerisms, different story. We can go down a big rabbit hole. On
Yeah,
that,
we'll talk about that one in a future
Right.
video.
But now, as far as like when he has the hockey mask on, I don't dig that one as much as I do the baghead Jason. And part of it is like whenever he's unmasked too, I don't really like the look they went with.
Yep. I don't like the neck
Yeah.
prosthetics that went
No.
on because it's like it was almost like they gave him, and I'm not trying to cut you off, but
No,
they
you go
gave him
ahead.
these big like vein trap
Yes.
muscles, which we'll get to the good trap muscles of Jason
Mm-hmm.
later on, but like this like almost prosthetic trap muscles that they kind of look a little rubbery when the actor moves his neck.
Exactly, and like honestly, that's you hit the nail on the head, and actually spoke better than what I could have on that, because it almost looks like they tried to make a hybrid of Ted White and Richard Brooker from Part 4 and 3,
Yep,
and didn't really
exactly.
know which one they wanted to go with. And if they just would have left Derek Mears and his neck alone, it would have looked a whole lot better, like we're
Yeah.
talking about. And this is another one where we're talking about the unmasking of Jason at the very end of the movie. I did not dig the design for the face that they had for Jason.
Nope.
It just
It didn't.
seemed way better ones that we'll get to on this list.
When they did that unmasking in that film, it almost seemed like a generic wrong turn.
Yeah.
If I can be so bold, or what was the other one? The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah.
Kind of a character. So
Yeah, that's exactly like I said. Baghead Jason, I love. Once he gets the hockey mask, kind of misses the mark for me. It's definitely not my least favorite, but it doesn't go up any higher than number 7 for me.
okay.
So kicking it back to you then, what do you have for number 7?
Number 7, I have Jason X, and I don't mind Jason X because I know that it was low budget, and you watch it and you can almost tell that they knew what they had to work with wasn't a lot, so they knew we're going to have a good time with it. Now, I don't particularly care for the hockey mask version of the mask because for some reason, if you look at it close or just look at it, it almost has like a snout piece that goes over the nose, where the bridge of the nose comes down and out and kind of comes around. So it's almost like a snout on the mask.
Right.
And once again, I feel like the tattered sweatshirt or coat, whatever he's supposed to be wearing, looks a little bit too much like pajamas for me.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the Uber Jason or Jason X version of Jason, it's definitely, rubber appliances over the body. But having said that, I know that they're having fun with this. They're not trying to make a serious film. They realize at this point we can't make a really serious film, and you got some over the top kills with his mannerisms. So that really kind of that fun lightheartedness kind of brings it a little higher, but still on the low end of my list.
Yeah, like you hit the nail on the head. That's one thing I'm proud to mention too, because to me it reminds me just like Jason Goes to Hell with as far as the material of his suit. It looks like Spirit Halloween again.
Well,
like,
yeah.
like
Well,
the
it
guy
looks
in the
like
bag.
to me the material that they make, like I said, pajama pants out of.
Right.
And
And it goes back, because I know it's fun, a lot hard, but then it kind of goes back to me where it kind of lets me know that Sean S. Cunningham just didn't put in the effort that he really needed to put in with some of these.
Yeah.
And so I can dig it for being lighthearted and, like I said, having over top kills, but at the same time, like, man, we need to try harder.
well,
you
they
know?
could have had a better look because and he's also got that little poof of hair. What do you want to call it? A little tuft of hair that just kind of sticks out there, just little whoop,
Yeah.
and it's like either do it or don't do it.
Now I'll give this one more points too, just for having Chuck Campbell in there, Bruce Campbell's brother. So
Okay.
I'll give it that too. So kicking it back then, this is one that gets dogged a lot, but now I have it about basically in the middle. But I got Friday the 13th Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan.
Oh yeah.
And for me, I love the mask. I love like the sliminess of
Yeah,
him.
he's slimy Jason.
Now, one thing that I find hilarious is how he gets his mask. That kid brings it on board and gets his girlfriend with that practical joke. But I find it hilarious if you pay attention to that mask. It's got the axe mark from Part 3 in there. So, it's a brand new mask. Why would it have that in there? But, that's...
Well,
it's Friday the 13th Part 8. Jason takes a boat ride, so...
yeah, it is. And he's, like you said, slimy the whole time.
Right,
So,
but the only one of the few drawbacks for me is the unmasking again. Like if you look at it, and,
yeah,
and
that's
it's still, it looks fine, but the moment he starts moving his mouth around and starts puking on command, then it just like looks rubbery. Doesn't look the way it should be.
Yeah, and
So,
I've heard others say that this is one of their least
Yes.
favorites because of that look of the prosthetic on the makeup. So,
and like I said, as far as like when he has his mask on and the rest of the look, I can dig it. I like it pretty good.
yeah, and jumping back, that's my part 6 is Manhattan, and like you said, you know, it's just his slimy Jason. His mannerisms are cool though. The way he walks through the city.
Yep.
When he's walking through the train, all that stuff I find really cool. When
Yes.
he kicks the stereo, and you know he's kind of got this, you know.
Yeah, Kane Hodder at this point finally coming to his own. Which I mean, he coming to his own part 7 too. But like I said, he
Yeah.
really nails the character. Like
And-
you know, when he's breathing, you see that chest.
You can
come
see
up
the
and
chest
down.
come up and down. You can see the stride where it's not like a strut, but it's just a stride with the shoulders. I kind of dig that. So
Yep.
that's where it falls on my list here.
Moving right along, then we got number 5 is Friday the 13th Part 2, the infamous Baghead Jason. So a lot of people either really love this or they really hate it. But I mean, you gotta think, Fright fans. This was the first time that Jason is the killer makes his screen presence.
Yeah.
So they didn't have nothing to go off of.
They really didn't know what they were doing. Yeah.
So we got Hillbilly Jason, but for me, I can dig it. I love the aesthetics of the overalls, the bag, and his eye, and
I being a little lower than the other.
yeah, and I even love like when he's unmasked and the end comes crashing through that window. I love the red hair, the way the face looks, and
Yeah,
everything.
like almost like a patchy beard, like
Yes.
on one side. Yeah.
So yeah, so we're definitely getting into the ones we like a whole lot more now, though. So, like I said, I have a lot. Like I said, I can go on all night. This one, like I really did enjoy it, and I love that backwoods where he's just like living off the land in that little bitty shack that he
Yep.
built.
And his mannerisms are cool. He does actually sprint
Yeah,
a little bit in this one.
he sprints, and he's
Yeah.
actually like whenever Jenny's hiding under
quick.
the bed, and he's standing up on the chair waiting for her to come out because he knows she's under the bed. So he's
Yeah.
actually
He's
thinking.
he's smart. He's thinking. He's sprinting, and that brings it back to number 5 for me is part 2 as well. Just because you know that's where we're at. I mean, he's like you just said. You know, I like the blue shirt. I like the overalls. So it's almost got that whole once again hillbilly.
Yeah.
Inbred hillbilly killer, whatever
Wrong
you want to
turn.
call it, wrong turn, but way before they did it and way better than they did it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I like he's quick. He's quick, you know, and then it's as far as like if you watch them in order, part 1 and then you watch part 2, you're like, damn, this guy's stepping on the gas in part 2.
I can't remember off the top of my head. Like I know Warrington Gillette and Steve Dash, they both got dual credit as playing Jason, but I think they both did a great job. And like I said, I know one of them. I can't remember which one off the top of my head now. Actually took that machete to the hand, had to go get stitches and stuff. So they really hurt for their art on this one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So kicking it back then, number 4. This is one which we're getting into the ones that the fans, for the most part, I said really dig as far as the movies go too. But I got Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives.
Yep.
And I love this Jason. Like I said, I know we talked about it earlier. I don't want to. I'm gonna let you have one of your talking points that we discussed earlier. But I love the suit for the most part. Really love the mask. One thing I will talk about, we talk about the less is more thing with his face at the beginning of the movie when he's already in the casket and comes out. I love the prosthetic he has on, the look of Jason, how he's been in there. My only pick and nits with this one is it seems like, you know, for someone that just crawls out of the grave and should be filthy, as the movie goes along, that suit just gets clean. It's like he stops off at the dry cleaner in between kills to clean up the suit. And it's like I said, that part always bothers me when I watch it.
Yep. And I'm right there with you because that one is my number 4. And yeah, but I like the gloves. I like the addition of the gloves. You know, like I like his Batman utility belt.
Yeah.
You know, because you know why not have that? Who knows what? Maybe it's got some sharpening stones in it, so you can sit and sharpen your knives.
Yep.
And when that scene when he's in the camper,
Yeah.
and you see him in the rearview mirror, and he's kind of coming up, and it's dark, and you see him, it's light.
Court don't have
Dark.
clues behind
It's
him.
dark, yeah. And I like that. I like his mannerisms a lot in this one,
Yeah.
the way he moves. He's a little bit fatter.
Yeah.
He's a little bit fatter.
Well,
in this film.
The first
And
one they had
there's-
was a little bit fatter. C.J. Graham, he was actually a little bit slimmer once because they did like
Right.
either a day or two of shooting. It's like, we can't have this guy.
I know.
But they left
I
those
know.
scenes in.
They left those scenes in, so there at the beginning he's a little fatter,
Yeah.
and I'm okay with that. But I like his mannerisms. I like you said, the mask, and so that's
Yeah,
you know.
C.J. Graham nailed this one. And like Fright fans, if you didn't know, they said the reason he got the part was after they fired that one guy. They actually went to a show and he was cosplaying as Jason on the stage and bust through a wall. And the producer's like, "We got to get that guy.
hire that guy.
Yeah, hire
right
that
now.
guy."
Yeah,
And so, like I said, we'll get to the other ones as we make our way up the list. But like I said, I just have to shout out C.J. Graham, fantastic Jason.
yeah. And I think our list from this point on,
A little interchangeable. But
they're a little interchangeable, but for the most part, they're the same.
yeah.
So
Number 3 for me, this will be a shock because I see this on top of a lot of people's lists, and for good reason. I got Friday the 13th Part 3, and it's just iconic. It's the first time you see Jason when he walks out on the dock, full mask on. He's got the green shirt and the khakis, and I love how his arms, like his shirt is too short
it's too
for his
short,
arms, and he's
too
like
little.
lumbering out there, and like I said, I love the look, and mainly too, I love when he's unmasked, like the prosthetics that he does wear.
It's almost like a smile.
Yes, it just looks
love it.
amazing. And if you've seen some behind the scenes photos, it don't get no cooler than Richard Booker sitting there in full Jason makeup, smoking a pipe and reading a paper.
Yep. Yep. That's man, what an iconic look for Jason
yeah,
that is.
look fantastic.
And so bringing it back along, then I got Part 7. My number 3, Jason, is Part 7, The New Blood.
Weekend at Jason's.
Weekend at Jason's, starring Bernie himself. And I like this look. I like it. I like the broken parts of the shirt,
Yes.
the bones. I like it's a little bit wet, from being in. It's got the chains. When the telekinesis
Yep.
goes down and the mask splits open, and you got that half bone, half human face with the bones sticking out, and harkening back to that reason I said I didn't like Freddy versus Jason because of the shade of the makeup.
Right.
This one has a zombified shade that's almost like a grayish, darkish color.
It's got some green in there.
Got a little green, but it's not overbearing. Like, you can still tell this guy's rotted. He's been under the water. He's
Right.
kind of messed up. And that part I like, And the Kane Hodder, of course,
Yeah.
the movements, the mannerisms, you can't beat that.
Sleeping
And
bag
when
kill.
he does the sleeping bag kill,
Yeah.
when he does the jump up,
Yeah.
and he kind of does the little like quick land. I love that. So
One thing about Kane Hodder I do love as well, when we're talking about him, is he's the one that really brought that whole head tilt.
the head tilt, because and you watch interviews, you listen to interviews with Kane Hodder when he's talking about, how am I going to play this killer who doesn't speak
Yeah.
with mannerisms. And so he really was focused, and that's why we get a good performance of Kane Hodder, in Hatchet and those
Yes.
films, because he really thinks about, and it also comes from being a stuntman. How am I going to move my body to convey what I'm going for without speaking? So you get that whole in the New Blood, this whole different Jason is a little bit vicious.
Right.
I mean, well, Jason's always vicious, but a little bit more so. So that's why it takes the number 3 spot on my list.
For me, then start with number 2. I got exactly what you have for number 3. I got Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood, and just for everything you mentioned, I love how you see his spinal cord when he's walking through the woods and
Yeah, the
everything.
bones coming out.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
John Carl Buechler, the late director of this movie. He had a special effects background as well, so
Yep.
he did a fantastic job, not skimping out on the look of Jason with this one, and it's iconic in its own right. And I love the mask, how it's still the original mask from Part 3, and it has every battle scar,
Every wound, yes.
yeah, from it
Beautiful.
on, and just the attention to detail when it comes to that. The look of his face, like we were talking about, it just the teeth, just he had like a few
Yeah, it's
teeth
part of
in
those
there.
teeth sticking out of them.
Yeah, and like when he opens his mouth, just looks fantastic. And then, like I said, we got Kane Hodder making his introduction
And
as Jason.
to go back to what you just said is he has a special effects background, and then you got Kane Hodder who has a stuntman
Yes.
background, who's used to being in prosthetics, special effects. Those two meshed well together. Yes.
Yeah.
And so there you go.
Yeah, like I said, I love the whole look. And like I said, his mannerisms in this one. Like I said, we already discussed. Like he's got the chest when he's breathing heavy. And like he's very foreboding and
Oh yeah,
like
it's
a
very
brooding,
menacing in this
yes.
one. Oh
Lo-
yeah.
Just like I said, I love it, and like I said, Kane Hodder does a fantastic job. And that's why a lot of people he's not my all time favorite Jason. Like as we see now, I'm up to number 2. Everybody should now figure out what I have as number 1, but we'll talk about it in a minute. That one's my all time favorite Jason.
Yep.
But even then though, as much as I love Kane, I'd probably put C.J. Graham ahead of him. But like I said, Kane to a lot of people is Jason, and rightfully so.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So kicking to you, what do you have as your number 2?
My number 2 is the final chapter.
Nice.
And I love it because once we get to my number 1, as you know, can guess what that is, part 3. You know, I love the continuity between the little variations of the green, the hunter green, and the brown khakis, the boots, with a little more battle damage in this film. You know, a little bit more mud, blood, dirt, whatever you want to call it, whatever you can assume it is. And you know, he takes a wallop in this one, but he also gives a lot in this one, and it's you know, I love the mannerisms. Just the also we talk about menacing. Yep. Menacing as hell in this one. So yeah, that's coming in at number 2 for me. Part 4, final chapter.
Yep, that's my number 1, the Friday the 13th final chapter. Like I said, Ted White just totally, and he didn't even want to be Jason. Like he took it for the money, but he didn't want his name credited to it. He said, like, you know, just put Jason plays as himself. And I mean, as you look at the history of this movie, it was a difficult shoot because they're filming in the winter, so they're swimming in frigid waters. He didn't like the way they were treating the kids, but like I said, now as far as Jason goes and his look, like I said, I love how it's just like you spoke about the continuity from part 3 to 4.
Yep.
Like I said, part of like the triangle is knocked off where he's been fighting with the kids. You still got the axe mark where he took the axe, but like Ted White just, like I said, totally nails it. He's menacing when he has that on-screen presence. He's like, you know, he's a big Jason. And then you have Tom Savini making a comeback to do the special effects in this movie because he wanted to be the one, since it was the final chapter at the time. We all know it wasn't.
Yeah, this is the last one, guys.
Yeah. He wanted to make sure that he killed Jason with a bang, and boy did he ever. Like the unmasking scene of Jason, it looked fantastic. And then taking that machete
Sliding
blade.
down the machete blade.
Yeah, looked awesome. So for me, that's my ultimate Jason. I always find myself going back to that one. When, I'm always pressed between 4 and 6 as to which is my favorite, but my favorite Jason has always been Final Chapter.
Nice. I mean, for number 1 is, you can tell, part 3.
Yep.
I love part 3. It's always been my favorite. I love, like you said, you touched on a few of those earlier, the way the suit is just the sleeves are a little too short.
He lumbers about.
He lumbers about, but he's got some quickness.
Yeah.
He's got some quickness. Now the trap muscles, like we were talking about before.
Yeah.
Now that was built up on him.
Right.
Like the actor himself, you know.
Richard Booker.
Yep. Richard Booker was not, you know, that broad through the shoulders, but they built those, you know, and it reflects in that. And I, you know, would often joke with my brother, or, you know, somebody, like when he lifts himself up off of that rope
that's so
with
awesome,
one arm. And then I would say to my brother, you know, be like, if you had trap muscles like that, you know, you could lift yourself up off a rope with one arm, you know. So
and then lift that mask, like I said, just a smile.
Just kind of like a smile, you know, and he's looking through the window there. And so I love the lumbering. It's a lumbering, and it's almost like he's hunched over in scenes. He's kind of lumbering around, but then he's straight up, and he's just this big menacing figure that, you know.
Right.
You know, the pants don't quite fit, the shirt don't quite fit, and it just makes for a brooding character. So that will always be my number 1 is Friday Part 3.
And I can't argue with you on that one. I just think of 2 scenes. Like I said, I know I mentioned one earlier when I spoke of it. This the iconic of him walking down that dock when you first see him.
The dock. Oh,
and then when he picks up the one girl after he killed her with the fire poker, and like I said, he's got the arms and just hold her up, and you see that mask and the fire going behind him. Just iconic.
And to touch just real quickly before we end on the continuity of the looks from the whole series, is that look from part 3 with the hunter green and the khakis and the boots, that carries over into part 4.
Yeah.
That carries over with just a little more. So as far as like the continuity of Jason goes, that's one where you can go, okay, these belong together.
Yeah.
and I like both continuities. I like the actors. I like the way they move and present themselves as Jason. So that's why those are, of course, at the top for me. I'm sure for you as well.
Oh yeah, like I said, I love all those. So there you have it, Fright fans. Both of our lists together. Leave us in the comments. What is your favorite Jason?
Yeah,
What
we'd
you-
love to hear from
yeah.
you guys. Come on,
Yeah.
hit us up more, man. You're
What-
not hitting us up enough. We need to know what's your favorite Jasons.
What's your least favorite Jason, and why is it Jason Goes to Hell? I really want to know
and
why.
why are we sons of bitches for putting Freddy versus Jason at the bottom of the list?
No, I don't think me will argue with that one. But we'll see. No, it's Jason Goes to Hell. We know that's the very bottom. But
That's right.
like I said, Fright fans, just like make sure you like and subscribe this to our channel. Share this video with your friends. Like I said, and just leave us in the comments. Like I
Yeah.
said, with all your favorite Jasons.
And we got some more fun little. We just wanted to do a fun little ranking video for you. We'll dive deeper into the films later on down the road in SlashOrama, but for now we just want to kind of just have a little fun ranking of the looks of Jason.
Absolutely. And Fright fans, we're hoping that this will like whet your palate to where you want to go back and revisit some of these classics of Friday the 13th. But if you do, you better heed Crazy Ralph's warning.
Yeah.
Come back again. Oh, shut up, Ralph. It's got a death curse.